You're listening to the True North Success Podcast. Real stories of personal, professional, and financial wins from Alberta's best. With your hosts, Gary Ma and Amy Kim.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, my special guest is Dr. Nathan Thakur. He is a medical doctor focused on musculoskeletal and regenerative medicine with a particular interest in how research-backed and scientific advances can help people heal, rejuvenate, and preserve their joints and tendons. Dr. Thakur was previously with the world-renowned Cleveland Clinic, and now he provides leading-edge regenerative treatments in Calgary. It is my pleasure to have Dr. Nathan Thakur on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
So, Dr. Thakur, I gave a quick overview of your success, but can you fill in the details of what you do, who you serve, and how long you've been doing this for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work in this emerging, rapidly evolving space of regenerative sports medicine and what we call orthobiologics. And what they are treatments that help people anti-age their joints and tendons, primarily used for arthritis and tendinopathy, which is what you classically would have called tendonitis. Mm-hmm. And in the past, a lot of people didn't have options for these treatments. They were essentially just waiting for their joints to degenerate, and eventually they end up on waiting lists for joint replacements. But Regenerative MD, which is the company that I lead, is specialized and focused in how to anti-age, heal, rejuvenate, and preserve your joints and tendons so you can prevent arthritis. So maybe you can avoid knee replacements and you can live longer, better. And it's essentially longevity medicine for joints and tendons. So because we really want people to move when they're older, and the quicker somebody acts, the earlier that they act, the more likely they are to be successful.
Right. What kind of got you into regenerative medicine and orthobiologics?
Great question, actually. I was really lucky when I was younger to work at a place called the Cleveland Clinic. And Cleveland Clinic is this wonderful hospital system. It's the number 2 hospital system in the world. And when I worked there, right next to my office was Canada's best sports medicine doctor. And he had all the Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors coming in. And then across the hall from me was this wonderful ultrasound guy. And I just realized that you could put all of this together and really help people improve their lives. It would change the way that they could live, because when we get these injuries, when we have an ACL tear or a meniscus tear, and then arthritis begins to set in, this doctor was really changing the way people lived after their retirement from professional sports. Mm-hmm. So what got me into it was watching this evolution. And then I heard about stem cells coming in, and more importantly, platelet-rich plasma, PRP. And these elements were able to rejuvenate cartilage and restore function where we couldn't do it before. The key was obviously he was a very skilled doctor, and he was always choosing the right patients. And that's something I learned at Cleveland Clinic, was make sure you choose the right patients so you can have success with them. So that's how I got into it. And I had to evolve my knowledge quite a bit into this space, which it was there was an unwritten book there, and you had to kind of go in and find all the information yourself. So that was great.
Okay. So you're really on the leading edge of this kind of technology, where you're helping people with arthritis. Is that basically what it is?
Yes. Arthritis, tendinopathy. Like you hear about people with, let's say, there's arthritis, obviously, of the knees, maybe the hips, sometimes the lower back. And as long as it's a lower grade or a moderate grade of arthritis, mild to moderate arthritis, we can do a lot to change that for them. And then tendon problems, you classically know as tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, maybe a rotator cuff tear or rotator cuff tendonitis. Those are the problems that we're trying to work on. And classically, physiotherapists work on them. Or maybe classically, you receive cortisone for these things. But now you can actually receive anti-aging treatments that essentially get them back to a more normal function. You're anti-aging them, you're rejuvenating them. That's probably the best word for it.
Okay. So with that rejuvenation, is it typically through surgery or other means?
No, that's the wonderful part of this. It's a minimally invasive. We're using platelet-rich plasma, also known as PRP, made famous by like Tiger Woods, Connor McDavid, a lot of excellent athletes use these treatments to anti-age their joints. And what we're doing is we're using your blood, we're extracting out growth factors and platelets that can then act inside of your body to heal things up. We concentrate them, we amplify them, and we put them back into the points with an ultrasound and a needle, and we just deliver it very precisely to the point that needs it the most. So that's PRP in a nutshell. And further to that, there's obviously stem cells, which is another layer of this, even beyond that. So no surgery, just excellent diagnosis, thoughtful treatment plans, and a very gentle treatment.
Wow, that's very cool sound.
Yes, very good. People are always concerned prior to coming into our office as to, what's this going to be like? Is it going to be very intense? But we make it so gentle and comfortable. I'm sure a lot of our patients can attest to that. And they're always surprised at how easy it was. Now, some of the procedures can be a little bit painful afterwards, but we take such good care of people that I hope we take such good care of people that they don't ever feel like they're left stranded.
I mean, with this leading edge technology, what kind of sets you apart from the competition? I mean, what comes easy to you that others find challenging?
Oh, that's a great question. So again, I'd say from my background at Cleveland Clinic, Gary, the thing that really set my career apart, or even my company now apart, is that we care just as much about the service in medicine and how the healthcare is delivered, the feelings that we create in patients, as much as we care about the medicine itself. I always say to our doctors and our team, excellent medicine should not be our differentiator. Excellent medicine should be table stakes. Our differentiator is how we make our patients feel and how all-encompassing and anticipatory we are of their needs and how thoughtful we are in our approach to their problems. So we design a clinic that differentiates itself based off of service, empathy, the feelings that we create, our aftercare protocols. It's an all-encompassing system. And that's more akin to what you would call concierge level service in a wonderful hotel experience. That's what we strive to be. And I think it's been a pretty big differentiator. That being said, I will say very specifically, the technology that we use is also better, but I don't use that as a differentiator.
Right. Wow. I mean, that sounds very, very cool to me.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, you should come on in, Gary. I'll show you.
What kind of tips or suggestions would you give someone who wants to be more successful?
Who wants to be more successful? I mean, and I see you're not talking about medically successful here. You're just saying success
in general, like it could be personal success, tips on how to, do better, I guess.
Okay. Well, the one thing I'll say, and I think, we always learn this the hard way, or we learn it when we see somebody, is if you don't have your health and you don't pay attention to your health, all the success in the world doesn't matter.
Okay.
And so build a foundation of healthy principles for your life that, where you look under the hood on a regular basis and you're proactive. You're thinking about longevity for your body, just like you think about longevity for your retirement. And I think if you can do that very well and you have a great team around you, then you give yourself a platform for success. Because I've seen too many people, labored in having to go to medical appointments, and it interferes with the things that they want to do. So give yourself a strong basis of health. Right. And that's obviously, all the things you and I know, Gary, right?
Right.
Exercise, sleep, but a preventative, proactive team of healthcare providers understand anti-aging medicine a little bit, and then dive into these things, just like you dive into whether or not, you're going to invest in a certain way. Dive into it, get the details. Don't take the superficial stuff that people feed you just online. So I think it's been a great recipe for success for us.
Yeah. So really, the base is to have great health. and to continue that so that, like that would be one of your key takeaways is to have great health to be successful.
Yes, you need it. You need it to
Yeah.
focus. You need it for your energy. Otherwise, how can you put a labor of love into your business if you can't, if you have to focus on only your health and the detractors of that, then you can't focus on the things that are going to build your family, your wealth, and put energy towards things that you want to do to make yourself happy.
Right, right, right. What's one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in your career, and how were you able to turn that into a positive?
Hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I hadn't given much thought to this until you just mentioned it. One of the hardest challenges for me was I grew up in Saskatchewan. I grew up in Regina, and
Hmm.
at the time that I was growing up, and I'm sure many people from Saskatchewan might feel this at times, is sometimes it feels a little bit closed in, and if you don't get out of Saskatchewan or at an early age, sometimes you don't know what's out there in the world. So
Hmm.
I had to overcome this challenge where I wasn't exposed to a lot growing up in Regina. And so the
Okay.
world seemed very, very big. And so now let's talk pre-internet and then internet coming into play. So when I went into situations when trained in Montreal and worked in Toronto and whatnot, I don't think I had a massive world view at that point. And that might just be me, but
Right.
it was a reality of life at the time. And things obviously changed, and I had to adapt. I had to adapt things like personality and professionalism. It wasn't an easy thing right from the get-go. And I don't think it has anything to do with where I was from. It maybe more has to do with exposure. I wasn't exposed
Sure.
to a
Yep.
lot.
Yep.
And it's really interesting because whenever I go places now, I see people from Saskatchewan and Alberta in wonderful positions. And the reason I think that that happens is this part of Canada, I mean, all of Canada, but particularly the prairies, have this very hardworking mentality. And there's
Hmm.
like a humility in these people. And so, I remember going to McGill, and the head of general surgery was from Saskatchewan. And I said, wow, like people they just grind things and they show up in big places from these small parts of the world. And so it's been wonderful that way. I had to realize that and grow into it because you know coming from Regina, I didn't know about all the stuff that was healthcare innovation in New York and Boston and all that stuff. And so it was a challenge. And then I'll also say, once that happened, when I arrived in Toronto, I realized that AI and technology, not AI, we'll say technology, was going to change how we worked. I realized that really early. And so I was trained in family medicine and executive medicine. However, this field of technology with regenerative medicine was emerging, and
Hmm.
there's no textbook on this.
Yeah.
So a big challenge was essentially retraining myself into a focus of specialization where there's no true training program. And
Hmm.
so that was just personal interest.
Hmm.
But the thing is, when you have that passion and you find the right thing, I swear, like when I go to work now, it feels like I'm playing video games. I'm seeing patients and I'm looking at this ultrasound machine and scanning them and finding things and then using a needle. Like it's fun at work. So,
Right.
uh, uh, something that's been overcome, but it's turned into a really big fun passion. And now it doesn't feel like work at all. So, I hope that's a good answer to your question in two parts.
Well, it sounds like you've had to really grow in
I've
many
had
certain ways, and through that growth, you've come to really get comfortable. And from that growth, it's allowed you to be where you are.
I would say so. Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
on.
It's been growth. And I know everyone has that journey, on their own level, but, for
Hmm.
me, it was those particularities. So I'm very grateful for my roots in Saskatchewan and Alberta, actually. So now it's, time to serve the community.
Right on. So it sounds like things are going really, really well for you and your business. healthcare professionals and doctors make a very good income while they're actively working. The challenge is that when they're not treating patients or actively working, there's no income coming in. So that's definitely a bit of a challenge, especially when you look towards the future, when you don't want to be having to work so hard for that income. Some of the things that people will do is invest in stocks, bonds, or crypto, or use a financial planner or something like that. What are your thoughts about that at ways of creating income outside of your work?
My thoughts have evolved on this quite a bit. We in medicine don't really get a lot of exposure to this world of, let's say, finance. It's almost an afterthought. It's almost a faux pas to ask those questions and think about it. And so there's not a lot of perks there, we'll say. A couple of things I've realized is, and these might be controversial opinions, but I'll say them, that home ownership can be a really good thing, but it can frequently be a detriment. And I think we're a little bit brainwashed into needing to buy a house early. And now I tell younger doctors who are coming up, I tell them the same thing every time. I say, develop approximately 2 sources of passive income or 2 investments that are working before you dive into buying your own principal residence. And that would be something like have one or 2 rental properties going, have your dividend paying stocks going that are compounding, have a budget set aside for those things so that they're running before you take a large chunk of your money and your assets and then purchase a home for which then you were sort of indentured for a long time. And I know that that's not the conventional belief, but I strongly believe as a homeowner that it is the smart move. And I was lucky enough to have a couple of good wins early on. I read The Intelligent Investor very early, which is Benjamin Graham's book, which Warren Buffett says is the best book he's ever read. And then after reading that, and it gave me so much insight, I thought I was different and negated that advice. And I'll tell you, negating that advice is unwise. And the advice of conservatism, of regularity, of constant contributions from a very young age, that develops passive income, passive wealth for your long term. Right. And I've been lucky enough to counteract some of the foolishness that I've had. And I think we all, when we're young, we always think we're going to take a shot and it's always going to work. It frequently doesn't. But that being said, be pragmatic. Don't make the large expenditures right from the get-go, because if you can invest your initial earnings or your first $20, $40, $60, $100,000 and let that work for 5 years and do that again, oh my God, you'd be so much happier. So my advice is diversify early. Don't buy your principal residence too early. That's what I would tell young people.
Right.
Buy rental.
Everybody's got different views, and it's actually quite refreshing to hear a different view like yours. As we're wrapping up our interview, what kind of exciting plans do you have in the works in the next 6 to 12 months?
Personally, or?
Well, it could be personal. It could be professionally.
Okay, I'll tell you two big things. The first thing professionally is we are bringing stem cells back to Alberta. Stem cells for joints, tendon issues. Regenerative MD, our office, will be bringing them back in 2 forms. We're going to have a stem cell program that is done locally. And I know a lot of people will say, well, you can't do that because of Health Canada, but that's not true. We have a project that we've been working on for a long time in order to bring stem cells back, which are wonderful treatments. And then also we've been my office, Regenerative MD, has been selected for an international research trial for the world's best stem cells, most purest stem cells. And that is a research trial being done out of Stockholm, Sweden, from the Nobel Prize Research Institute. It's called Karolinska. And they're doing stem cell trials for IV stem cells and joints. And we administer those in the Bahamas in one of the most wonderful facilities I've ever seen. So stem cells are coming back to Alberta. We'll either be able to do them at home or abroad, and we're here to guide people on that. So that's one big thing. And on a personal level, I think you said 6 months. On a personal level, I'm very, very grateful that I have these wonderful Italian friends that have invited me on a ski trip in northern Italy right after the Olympics. Wow. So at the start of March, I'll be headed that way. So that's a dream come true. So I'm gonna have to put something in my knees before I go, though, just to make sure I preserve my own knees, because it's 5 days of skiing. So.
Dr. Thakur, that wraps it up. And thank you so much for your time today and sharing your insights and tips with us. It was a real pleasure to have you on the show. Dr. Thakur, if people want to connect with you, what should they do?
The easiest thing is to go to our website, www.regenerativemd.ca, and just fill out the form that's on that website for a consultation. Our dual consultation is here to guide people. It's not here to administer treatments where they're not necessary. It's here to guide people to really good decisions for themselves.
Right on. You're also on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn. Yes, I am on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
I don't know the handle, though, but you can look me up, I'm sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at truenorthsuccessshow.com/guest. We'd love to hear from you.